Thomas, thank you so much for coming through, Doc, and being so patient while we were working our way through some of the day's lead stories there. So it seemed as if there's concern around issues of diarrhea in the areas around Hammanskraal, and people believed it could be cholera, but you don't believe it is. What do you base that belief on?
So the NICD received a report on the 15th of June about possible increased diarrheal cases in Region 2 of city of Tshwane, along the Arpies River and extending into the Hammanskraal area. And this report was from a concerned citizen who is a councillor in that region of Tshwane. And then I escalated it to the National Department of Health, and immediately an investigation was undertaken. So it was established from visiting the healthcare facilities in the area that they have not seen an increase in the number of diarrheal disease cases that are presenting to the clinics. And we reviewed data from the clinics as well, which confirmed this. We also requested that all healthcare facilities take stool specimens from anyone presenting with diarrhea and send it to the NICD for further testing, which has been done. And we've tested all the stool samples received to date, and we haven't detected any bacteria or viruses that would be associated with an outbreak.
Sure. So your explanation at this point is that, you know, it may have seemed to the community, particularly this concerned community member, the councillor, as if there's an increase in diarrheal cases presenting at the various health facilities, but actually there's not been an increase.
Yes, so that's it. We haven't been able to show that there has been an increase. Speaking to all the healthcare workers at the facilities, they say definitely not any increase above the normal levels of diarrhea that one would expect to see in any community on an ongoing basis. I think the concern stemmed from the fact that there have been long-standing issues with water quality, and these seem to arise from issues around the sewage and wastewater treatment plant functioning and contamination of the Arpies River.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to ask you that, because I see one of the reports suggests that the city has been urging residents not to drink the water in the area as they suspect some kind of contamination. Of course, we haven't verified that with the city of Tshwane independently. They're talking about tankers roaming the streets and supplying drinking water. From your work, did you test the water in that particular area, and what did you find?
So the NICD doesn't perform testing of water samples per se, but water samples were collected and are being tested at the moment. And I've been informed that City of Tshwane will be releasing the results of the water tests later today or early tomorrow. But from some communication, preliminary testing shows that there isn't any presence of cholera in the water samples tested. I think the concern for residents should be not to use untreated water sources. So don't use river water for drinking or cooking purposes. They must use municipal water, so in other words tap water that has been treated, or preferably use the safe water that is now being delivered via tankers in the meanwhile, until all the results of the drinking and municipal water are available.
So just in broad terms, in South Africa, I remember a few years ago we were dealing with issues of typhoid, particularly in areas to the east of the country, around the area of Delmas, and that was a major issue. And you know, people always say typhoid and cholera are medieval diseases, and they shouldn't be occurring in a modern society, particularly in the cities. As you sit at the NICD and you look at these patterns of these diseases, what is your take? Do South Africans in cities in particular, but also in the rural areas, do cases of cholera still come up? And in terms of the trend, does it suggest that this is something that we have a hold of as a modern society that should not even be experiencing this kind of diseases? Okay,
so in the case of cholera, our country is not endemic for cholera any longer. It means that we don't see intermittent cases of cholera throughout the country on a regular basis. The cases that we do see are typically imported cases from other countries. The concern is that as soon as you import a single case of cholera, if it happens to be in a person that's living in an area where safe water supply is an issue and sanitation is an issue, then it sets up a likely scenario where you will get ongoing cholera transmission, and then you can get an outbreak. Typhoid, we do see cases of typhoid around the country every year, but relatively few. Again, it is a concern though, and we have to follow these cases up as soon as they are identified in order to prevent that they result in an outbreak, especially in settings, and this can be in rural settings or peri-urban settings, where you've got insufficient or defective safe water and sanitation infrastructure.